all I hear is just like, oh, get into high ticket closing. It's the best way to make money, blah, blah, blah.
It's just complete fugazi, dude. Majority of people getting into high ticket sales, I would literally say 90% will never make 6 figures in a year in high ticket sales. I shut down my business and then I went all in on sales, and that month I made 20K in commissions my first month that I went all in. And I got like 80 leads in the first 2 days. What I did this time around is, as the leads were opting in, I was just calling them and like just sold them on the spot. Every single lead that opted in, I closed them.
Those were crazy 48 hours, lost 2 really, really good clients. What I've realized is that the marketing budget is one of the first things that they cut when things are not going well. Sometimes you could be delivering the best possible service, fulfilling, they're making money, but you can't control what is happening in their business.
There's these people that are like fucking coaches. They're failed salespeople that just like sold for like 6 months and then decided to be coaches. Like, motherfucker, you sold for like 6 months. You're a coach now. It's just like bullshit. Going to 7-Eleven, I go to the closer's calendar. It's like 12 appointments. Back to back. I was like, what? I had like an introduction with my manager at the time. I remember I gave him my story and he was like, yeah, you were a big fish at a small pond. Now you're a small fish at a big pond. That pissed me off a lot, dude. I was like, go fuck yourself. I know we met back in uni when we can talk about like you being a client and stuff. But
Yeah.
one thing I did want to ask you is like starting a business in university, like full-time exams, all that stuff. Do you feel like not having that would be better for your business at that point?
So like not having...
Yeah, not having university at all. Like they're just not going.
It's like a tricky situation. I think that obviously it would have been more beneficial to not have uni, because while I was working on the business, I just had uni at the back of my mind. You know, you have to do the minimum amount possible so you can either pass or just get the good grade to satisfy parents as well. But I think looking back, uni was worth it.
Why do you say that?
So first of all, I think the degree selection, I think it was a good choice. Like I did accounting and finance in uni.
Sure.
And if I sort of go slightly further back to A-levels, like in high school, the way that I chose my A-levels was like, what do I dislike the least, pretty much. So that immediately eliminated the sciences, the histories and all that stuff. And I was kind of left with the business modules, maths and stuff like that. And then the time for uni came and I was like, okay, I'm either going to go and study something super mathematical, numerical, or I'm just going to go kind of broad accounting and finance, which I figured at the time was going to be beneficial if I were to start a business at some point, because it's kind of like a fundamental for any business. And so then I went to uni, and I think that obviously the fundamental accounting that I learned was super useful and stuff that I still use in the business today. Like I think anyone needs to know how to read their own balance sheet and income statement, like to a certain extent. I'm saying you don't need like an accounting geek, you know, but I think it was useful in that sense. And I think like obviously after a certain point, like the in-depth accounting stuff are not useful.
Like there's a point of diminishing returns, but overall was a useful experience.
Yeah, I would say like overall it was a useful experience, and I think that it does I think it does help like with where I am.
I agree.
Right now.
Yeah, I think there's this whole notion nowadays we just like don't go to university, but I think people who don't have competence or are willing to do any work just use that as an excuse to justify their like habits and decision making, right? So it's like I didn't know I wanted to run a business or be in sales at like 19. I think you didn't know you wanted to start like a cold email.
No.
Yeah, what the fuck was cold email? Yeah, so it's like it at least puts you in a pathway where it like narrows the guidelines of you fucking up in like all these areas. So I agree. What was the shift in university? So what was the shift of like, I'm just basically doing accounting. I want to go in like a big 4 firm and do all this stuff to like, oh, like I want to run my own business.
Yeah.
All this shit.
So I think it came, okay, so first year of uni, I started the accounting and finance degree. I was like kind of hardcore in the accounting back then. I was like kind of excited, you know, I'm learning all this new shit.
With the vest.
With the vest. And, you know, everyone around you in uni is just like talking about investment banking.
You were in
London
get into
investment banking. I was in London. So all of my classmates just wanted to, like, all they were talking about was like, how do you get into JP Morgan? How do you get into Goldman Sachs? How many applications did you send yesterday? I was up there. I sent like 200 applications. And dude, like as someone who was not sure, like I didn't know what I wanted to do at the time. I just knew that I was studying accounting. It was kind of overwhelming and stressful because you constantly feel like you're behind. And then I kind of fell into the trap and I got sucked into that as well. And then I also became that guy who was like, oh, you know, I sent 50 applications yesterday. I sent 100 applications, blah, blah, blah. And so at some point, I finished my first year and the summer came and I did a couple of internships. And I got into like PwC, into EY, a couple of big 4 firms.
It's like
here
4
in-
years ago,
Here
by
in
the way.
Cyprus. Yeah, this was like 4 years ago. And I absolutely hated it.
What about it?
I hated it. So the easiest way that I can kind of put it to you is I couldn't see myself doing that for the rest of my life. And specifically, it was the kind of work. Now, obviously, what can you learn in like a 4-week period internship? Obviously,
Sure.
that's not what the job is completely, but I did get a bit of a taste of what it would look like for me to work in those offices, doing that kind of work.
Cool.
And having that kind of structure as well in my daily routine. And it kind of just went against all of my non-negotiables.
Yeah.
Which are having the freedom to do whatever I want, whenever I want, obviously not having a boss and whatever. This is like the standard stuff, I guess, But I was like, okay, I kind of need to do something about it, because if I just continue, I'm just going to end up here as well. And then that's when I started kind of looking into how I can
start my own thing.
And step away from that. So that was kind of the timing. But I think I proper went into business towards the end of my second year of uni. So I was like, okay, I'm already like 2/3 of the way there. Might as well finish the degree as well.
Sure.
So it didn't like make sense to just.
Interesting. Okay. I didn't know that was the shift for you.
Yeah.
Like just the internships. So
The internships were the shift, because that's when I actually saw, that's when I got as close as possible to seeing what my life would look like.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, what about you? Because I know that what you're doing right now has
not
nothing to do with
related.
like what you started in uni. So
Yes.
like, take me through that.
It was a little bit of a different thing because I wanted to run my own business starting in uni, right? So I went in uni like half in, half out, because I was like, I don't want to do anything when it comes to like 9-to-5 corporate career, but I didn't really know what I was going to do. So I wanted to do something with fitness. I was working out for a long time. I was competitive powerlifting, all of that stuff. So I had a level of competence, but I wasn't sure what I was going to do, right? I wasn't sure it was going to be like fitness model or something, like the ugliest looking fitness model.
Masculine looking.
Yeah,
fitness
exactly. This
model.
is me, a fitness model with like the chest hair, but fitness model or like power lifter, bodybuilder, whatever it is, right? So I wasn't sure, but what I have done is, because I paid zero attention to school beforehand, like zero, all my time was devoted into learning as much as possible behind the science behind working out and how, you lose fat, you build muscle, all of that stuff. So I became really competent at a young age, to the point where I was spending a lot of money going to events. I built a lot of connections from people who are like in the science-based fitness niche. So when I went into university, I had all this knowledge, and I started just picking up a few clients for free. Just like, hey, dude, do you want me to help you out? Do you want me to sort of like give you an idea as far as how I do things? And like all of them just saw insane results. So I was like, like maybe this could be a thing. I didn't know online fitness coaching was a thing at the time. I just had zero idea. It was just like, hey, here's a spreadsheet, do this.
Yeah.
Right? So that was year 1 and year 2 of university. I was pretty much doing that. It was like 15-20 hours, right, on top of my studies. I didn't think I was going to be anything else besides that at that point, but I was like, I want to find a way to start my business. So the shift, though, like similar to you where you had your internship, the shift was sort of the latter half of year 2 of university. So I had a 3-year university as opposed to like 4 years in the States. The latter half of year 2, I remember thinking, oh shit, I'm done in a year and a half. I need to make money to survive. Otherwise, it's not going to be a viable thing. So what I ended up doing is the same level of obsession that I had of learning about like fitness and all that stuff. I was like, I'm just going to try and learn shit about business and sales. Like, how can I find a way to make money out of these? So I started reading, I started ordering like the classic, like Russell Brunson, Alex Hormozi, all of that stuff. And I was like, okay, like I have the skill set. I think I have an idea as far as what I'm doing. I'm just going to reach out to everyone that I know and try to sell them on something that's like $50 a month, right? $50 membership, right? So reached out to all of my friends, like all of the people that I knew, and just made like 20, 25 sales in the span of like 2 weeks. And that was really the quote unquote start of my business, right? It was literally just reaching out to everyone that I know. And at that point I was like, okay, like I think I'm going to figure this shit out. Like I think this is sort of what I'm going to do, because 25 clients wasn't a lot, but it was enough for me to justify not finding a job after university and running this full time. So that was really the shift. And funny enough, you were part of one of those like 25, 30 people that I reached out to.
Dude, I still remember. I just got like a voice message. Basically, it wasn't like a pitch. It was like super like casual kind of thing, you know, because you knew that I was in the gym as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Working out, and then you sold me.
I'm curious from your perspective, because I didn't really know what the hell I was doing at the time. Like, how was your perception of that? Were you feel like you're being like forced into something, or were you like, oh, this makes sense, like I want to do it? Like, what was your perception of it?
Dude, back then, I mean, I kind of knew what I was doing at the gym, but not at the level of, let's say, you. But like, I was going to the gym, I had my split, I was happy with my workout. But then when you reached out, I was like, you know, I wouldn't mind kind of discussing this, because this guy is also someone I know. He's kind of like a friend, you know, might as well just give it a try, because I was never going to pay just any other fitness trainer for personal training. It just didn't make sense. But I was like, I don't know, I'll give it a shot. But it didn't feel like hardcore
of course,
selling or anything, you know. I just, as I said, got a voice note, and then we hopped on a chill call.
I do remember, and then we can talk about like the way that relationship developed and stuff. One thing that was very interesting at that time was, how do I then explain to my parents that now I'm trying to build my own business? And I know you had a lot of trials and tribulations when it comes to that. So for you starting your business in university, how was it like explaining to parents like, hey guys, I'm not going down the finance route?
Yeah. So that was a couple of uncomfortable conversations.
In what way?
That they had to happen.
Okay.
But the thing is, so I have a sister. She's like 7 years older than me, and she went down the traditional path. She became a lawyer in London. And so me growing up, always being the person who like was just never studying as much in school, was never really passionate about getting into this 9-to-5 stuff. I was always being compared to my sister in terms of the route that I'm taking. So it was always like, oh, why are you not studying? You need to study if you want to reach that point as well. If you want to be like your sister, if you want to get into like a top-notch job, let's say. So because I didn't go down that route, I constantly had to justify why I'm doing what I'm doing and why I'm not going down that path. And at the beginning, it just didn't make sense to, like, for my parents, if that makes sense, you know? It just didn't make sense to them. Like, what do you mean you don't want to be an accountant? Like, what do you mean you don't want to get into finance? What do you mean you want to start your own business? What do you mean you value, like, just freedom and doing your own thing over having a stable...
Why do you feel they reacted that way?
I think it's just what they know. I think it's what they know. And that's why I can't blame them for it. And it was always with my best interest in mind. Like, they just wanted to make sure that, you know, I'm going to have a stable paycheck when I finish uni. I'm just not going to be on the streets, like, with nothing, you know? So when I told them that, so the thing is, when I was in uni, I was kind of doing it on the side, but for a long time, I had never told them that this is what I want to do. And it was always like, you know, of course, I'm going to get into finance. I'm going to get into all that. But in the meantime, I'm just doing this as well.
Was that a real thing where you were telling them, or was it just like buying yourself some time?
I think I was just kind of buying myself some time, because I knew deep down that I do not want to get into a 9-to-5 job. So I was buying myself time by just telling them that, to make sure that, you know, at least they're happy. And in the meantime, I can do whatever I can to work on my business and get it to a point where I can then just tell them that, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and they're going to be happy. But anyway, my third year of uni came, and then we were like, hey, what are you going to do? You're either going to get a job, you're going to do a master's. Like, me doing my own thing was not a thing at the time. Like, it wasn't even an option for them. And so I applied for a master's. And I got into Imperial College London, which is like one of the, if anyone doesn't know, like, that's one of the best business schools in the world. And I got an offer, and obviously the expectation was that I'm going to go.
Take the offer.
I'm going to take the offer. And at some point, because there was a deadline for the offer, I had to tell them that
I'm not doing
this. I'm not going to do this. And so what I told them, again, to buy myself some time, was like, I'm going to ask them if I can defer the offer for 12 months. And so I'll have 12 months to work on my business. But in the meantime, if it doesn't work out, at least I can go back to do that.
And that was your opportunity to sort of prove to them, like, hey, motherfuckers, like, this is work. I don't need to go.
Exactly. And it bought me some time, because I knew that I was kind of postponing that difficult conversation of like, I'm not going to do the master's. It's like a year later. But again, like, yeah, looking back, I think that it came from a good place.
Sure.
Like, yeah, they just wanted to make sure that I was gonna have like a stable job, let's say. But yeah, what about you?
Yeah.
How was it basically, like, how was that initial conversation when you told your parents that, this is what I want to do? Like, what was the expectation, by the way, from them? Like,
Yeah.
what did they ideally want you to do?
Yeah, I don't think they had like a massive expectation, to be honest. It was because I was a horrible student, dude. I was very bad. Like, I was just like worst of the worst. Like, not the worst of the worst, but I wasn't good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was sort of getting away with it because I was able to pick up on stuff, but in terms of like results, I was like middle of the pack. So I think growing up and my parents seeing that is their expectations got low over time. You know what I mean? Like, they just didn't expect much. So
Yeah.
they were just like, okay, as long as he like passes school and as long as he passes university and finds a job, like, we're happy with that, right? So I think that gave me a little bit of a boost because, like, in my mind, I was like, I don't have the pressure of them wanting to do something different. But because of the way my parents also grew up, I don't think they believed that anything else besides that is possible. So when I had that first initial conversation of like, I want to run my own business, or then when I got into sales, like, hey guys, I'm doing this thing that you guys are not super familiar with. My dad was like, yeah, sure, like, go for it. I'm supporting you. My mom was always a little bit like, but why don't you get like a normal job? But not from the place of like, I'm worried about you. It's just like, all I know. I don't know anything else exists. So
Yeah.
it was a lot easier conversation, dude. Like, my parents, I feel like, were overall supportive in that sense. I probably feel like the challenges were more so, times where you doubt yourself, not like your parents, other people, but like the points where you doubt yourself, like whether that's possible. So I don't know if you ever had that,
Yeah.
especially during the
First of all, like,
years.
to add on to what you said, do you think it was a tougher conversation having to justify it to friends? Like, how was it
Yeah.
basically telling that to your social circle? 'Cause,
Yeah,
like, we are in a circle
we're-
where most people
correct.
are not doing maybe something like this.
Yeah, correct. So I think it's like, it depends on who do you justify to, because like, if it's just people who are like, you sort of know but you don't really know, then it's just like, who
Fuck
gives
that.
a shit? Yeah. It's like, just like, yeah, man, I'm just like a gardener or something, just
Yeah.
to avoid the conversation, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like, I had like, this was like back in Christmas, like, one of my uncles, like, what are you doing? And I'm like, sales. And he's like, oh, with the computers. I was like, yeah. It's like, what am I gonna explain?
No
Like,
further explanation.
yeah, it's just like, 'cause
needed.
what are you gonna say? But with close friends, dude, I think there's always a reservation, because like, there's this idea of what someone should do, especially as going to a private school. It's like, you're either like doctor, lawyer, accountant, or like you're a piece of wank in this society. So it was like, yeah, I think it was just at the beginning having those reservations of how do I make it sound like it's a thing that is compatible with those things, you know what I mean?
100%.
But then over time, it's just like, screw it, dude. Like, this is what I do. So yeah, at the beginning, it's sort of like, how do I find a way to make it sound like it's an acceptable thing, or it's something that you guys are used to?
Yeah. I can kind of relate to that, because not only did we not go down that path, but what we're doing, at least what I'm doing, is like so niche. Nobody knows
nobody really
cold
knows.
email is. So it's like, what are you doing? Cold email. Like, oh.
Yeah.
I know that I need to like sit and explain
Yeah.
what exactly that is. So a lot of the times I would also just say, I'm just doing some marketing.
Yeah.
And then just keep it there. What do you mean? Yeah, I just do marketing for businesses. And then that's about it. But I think that, again, explaining to my close circle what I'm doing was not the difficult conversation to have. Like, again, they were always supportive. And obviously at first they were like, what is that? But like, I think that's normal. But it's more so, I don't know. I personally felt like a lot of pressure. I don't know why, but I felt a lot of pressure when it came to maybe the slightly like the
Acquaintances.
second layer,
Yeah.
let's say, not my closest circle. Because just like people asking, oh, what are you doing? Oh, did you finish your degree? What are you going to do now? Did you get a job? Did you get accepted into a job? Blah, blah, blah,
Gotcha.
blah, blah.
What was that? Was it a pressure of, like, how do I explain something that fits in with their idea of what is normal? Or was it pressure explaining to them that I'm doing something and I'm actually successful at it, and trying to sort of validate that?
I think it was because at the time I was kind of still at the experimentation phase,
just like
where
a beginner
I
phase.
still had doubts.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know if this was going to work.
Mm.
So it just felt that,
It was fake, like saying I have a business, but it's like, I have my own doubts.
yeah, exactly.
Mm.
So when I wasn't even sure
Yeah.
about whether this was going to work or not, and then, like, we live abroad. So when we would come back to Cyprus and you would have those conversations, I just constantly had to tell people, yes, this is what I'm doing. Yes, I turned down this job. I turned down this master. This is what I decided to do. And so I think that just kind of, it was just a few uncomfortable conversations.
Yeah, I think one big thing that both of us I can see like we've developed over time is like at the beginning, how do I explain that to someone and me myself needing validation that you feel like I'm successful at this thing, and then me trying to pile on to that so you feel like I'm successful at it. But I think over time you just come to understand that it's like, dude, it's like anytime you sort of explain what you're doing to someone who's sort of like not in that space or niche or industry or like in business entrepreneurship, you're never really going to get any validation because there's always going to be the next element of doubt of like, have you made it? Yes. Well, what about this risk? Yes. What about this? So it's just like, it just keeps on piling up, dude. So I think it's just at the point where it's like, you just have to be okay with just saying to people, hey, dude, like I just run my own thing. So it's like,
yeah, I think when I broke that barrier was when I posted my first YouTube video. Because for a long period of time, I was just working behind the scenes and I was like sending cold emails, cold calling people, and I was just doing stuff that nobody in my social circle knew about. And then at some point I was like, fuck, I need to post a YouTube video. I want to start like putting this shit out there so I can grow the business. And I remember when I posted that first YouTube video and then I shared that YouTube video onto my Instagram story, and I was like, fuck, like now everyone is going to know that I'm doing this shit. I'm like sitting here talking into a camera, talking about shit that nobody knows. And I remember that it took me a while to convince myself to post that YouTube video, which is crazy because like,
it is.
Yeah. I mean, like, why would someone feel like they can't put themselves out there and just do something that is slightly unorthodox, slightly uncommon just because of the potential opinions of people that you don't fucking care about?
I do find it funny because I think like as the years go by where we graduated university, because again, there are circles like private schools. So these people have like a something they can fall back on as far as families and stuff. So they're sort of forced to get into something they don't necessarily like are super like aligned with, just because it's like, well, if it doesn't work out, like I still have like a back line. So now looking at it, it's like the more time passes, I can see more and more people being like, I want to run my own thing or I want to break away from the circle. But it's like the time to take that risk. Like it's still, any time is a great time, but it's like that time of, I think, university was pivotal just because that was the time to take that initial risk, because it's a compounding effect of like everything that happens after. Otherwise, you get sort of in this small trap, which is like it gets harder and harder and harder because it's like, now you have bills to pay, now you have rent, now you have taxes, now you have your jobs, like now you have your girlfriend, you have to live. It's like all that shit. So I think best thing is like the thing that I never will regret is like going for it in like late teens, early 20s. I think that was like the best thing. So I don't know how you feel about that.
I completely agree. I think that starting my business in uni, or at least starting to experiment and trying different things while in uni, was the best time for the reasons that you mentioned. But at the same time, once again, because everyone at the time that I knew was just basically going to uni, like most people weren't doing something on the side. Again, like every single day, I would be like receiving messages from people like, oh, dude, do you want to come out here? Do you want to go for coffee? Do you want to go for a drink? And I kind of like wasn't really going out in uni. And again, it was that pressure of like, oh, why aren't you going out? Like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, these are your uni years. You're never going to have these years back. So like now is the time to live, blah, blah, blah. And so again, it was just that constant pressure of just having to constantly say, no, I'm not going to come there because like my priority right now is doing this. And then just being like, the reason why I'm doing this right now is because, dude, I want to like fucking finish uni and then run my own business. Like I don't want to be looking for a job. So it was like the best time, but at the same time, I know that there's a lot of people who are in that position who might not be doing it because of, once again, what is being said around them, that, you know, again, these are your uni years, blah, blah, blah. And so, yeah.
How did you decide on cold email as a business model? Like during uni, obviously you had to find some shit to do. It wasn't like, oh, I'm just going to like, do these random things. Like, how did you decide on it?
I think like everyone else who's in marketing, I just watched every single Iman Gadzhi video on YouTube, like how to start an SMMA. Because as someone who just wanted to start their own thing, marketing, starting a marketing agency, I feel like was the, I'm not going to say like the easiest option, but it was what I was like.
Was the most
hearing.
widespread at the time.
Yeah,
too,
with the
like
most
Lehman's
widespread.
videos and all
Exactly.
those people.
So I was like, oh, if you want to make money in your 20s, the first thing you should try is just running a marketing agency. So anyway, I went down the Imam Gadzhi rabbit hole, watched, I still remember like sitting in my room in Clapham in London, and watching every single one of his videos, making plans on how I'm going to start an SMMA, whatever. And then at some point, I tried to sign a few clients. I remember I went to this pizza shop on the high street in Clapham. I was like, it was like 12 o'clock at night. And I was like, dude, I was eating a pizza and I saw this guy there. He looked like the owner of the shop. And I was like, dude, like, who's doing your marketing here? Can I do your marketing? And he was like, sure, but you need to come with your camera. You need to come and do X, Y, Z. And at the time I was like, I just felt like, I don't know. I feel like that kind of put me off. I just felt like I couldn't do it. I didn't have the equipment to go and do all that shit. Looking back though, I think I just didn't stick to it for long enough.
Sure.
That was the first thing that I got into. And then, I mean, like you kind of got me into cold email. I mean,
Yeah,
I remember, you came and you were like, dude, I got into this coaching program. I think it was Client Ascension at the time. And you were like, we were gonna like start our own thing back then.
Yeah, that was the plan. It's like I was looking to get away from sales, and you were like not really making it work with like the marketing thing. So it was just like let's fucking run this random thing. Yeah.
Let's run this thing. And then I came into Client Ascension, and I remember that I was gonna be in charge of the lead gen part of the business. So I was like going hardcore and learning paid ads, and then cold email, because that was the thing that they were teaching us. And then I'm gonna put this on you now, because I remember that the reason why I started cold email is because then you eventually decided to get into sales.
Stay in sales, yeah.
Yeah. So like,
correct.
You will walk me through like what was happening at the time where you were like, oh, like fuck this, I'm gonna go into sales then.
Yes. So I'll give you the preface of how I got into sales, which was by accident. I got into sales by accident. So when I was running my business, essentially I had those 25, 30 clients that I told you about. 25, 30 clients, all of them were like referrals, organic network, all of that stuff. And towards the end of my final year of university, I was like, I need more clients. I didn't know high ticket coaching was. I didn't know anything, right? But I was like, I need more clients. So I kept getting ads from these guys called Propane Fitness. Okay, just like bombarding me, because I was also in the UK. So it was less common to get like the US high ticket bros in the UK, and it was more so like a UK based company. I kept getting their ads, and it was talking about like, you don't need organic social media, you just need like paid advertising. And even though my clients were organic, it wasn't from social media. It was just like I reached out to everyone that I know, and because I was getting good results, or getting me referrals. Like, for example, you gave me like 6 referrals, right? Just because you liked the service. So I get on a call with this guy. His name is Phil, right? So I get on a call with Phil, and whatever, we go through the thing. I was like, I'm gonna buy. And then he was like, it was like $8,000. And at the time I had like 12K in my bank account, because I was making money from my business. But you need to understand, 1, I had to pay all my stuff in uni, plus 2, I was literally spending everything on business. I was like, oh, software. Yeah, it's going to help me spend money. It's like spending all my money. So it was like, I spent pretty much, it was all the money that I had in my bank account for the most part, besides some. And I remember I was like, yeah, I need to transfer some money. I'll get back to you. So I was like, I'm not going to buy this shit. And then I remember going on a walk after, and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I being such a retard? You know what I mean? Like I think this is supposed to be part of being a business owner. It's just like taking this like risk or whatever. So I go back, I put on my card info, and I buy this shit, right? And it was whatever. It was like a portal, and then coaching with the founders. So the founders, Johnny and Yusuf, they had their own fitness business, and then they went into like business consulting coaching. So here's what happened, and sort of how I got into sales was their model. Okay, so these guys' model was run ads to a free 14-day challenge, and then at the end of the challenge you present on a group call, and then people buy off the back of that, like a meat ticket or whatever it is. And I did that. I spent like $300 on ads. I got like a bunch of leads. I got probably like 150 people. 50 of them joined the group, and no one bought. And I was like, fuck, what the fuck? I just spent all this money. I was like aggressively pissed at this, but I was like, it's probably something I'm not doing. And it's like, it's stupid to me that I'm paying all this money for these people, but I'm not even getting to speak to any of them. So what I did the next time that I ran the challenge, spend the same amount of money, $300, and keep in mind, like my bank account kept getting drier because I just spent like $8,000. I spent this $300, and I got like whatever 80 leads in the first like 2 days. Okay, what I did this time around is, as the leads were opting in, I had like a ClickFunnels page. I was just calling them. Just literally calling them and like just sold them on the spot. And I closed all of them. 100, every single lead that opted in, I closed them. These weren't like US leads. We had a guy from Croatia, from fucking Azerbaijan. Like literally to this day, I had like I had a guy from Scotland that bought. It was my first sales call ever. Like from the bought and never got in touch with me again. It's like
After buying?
yeah, he's just like bought. He was like, I have to go through school. I was like, no, you can do it now. You can just he just bought and then never going. It's like whatever. But I sold everyone, dude. And I remember going. It's like it was crazy to me. I remember the first sale that I made with this Scottish dude. This is like a side note. I remember going for a walk and I was like, I'm gonna figure this out. It felt good because it was like I just paid money to find someone I didn't know about and he just bought my service. I was like, this is gonna work. So, but it wasn't high ticket. It was like $80, right? So, but I didn't care at the time because I was like, whatever. It's just like I'm making sales.
Sales.
Yeah, exactly. So I go on the coaching call next week with Johnny, the business owner, the founder, and I'm like, I gave him the context, and Johnny was like, so you made 80 sales off of cold traffic, and he was like very amused. I didn't know anything. I didn't know it was like that was supposed to be like an impressive thing.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. I was like, oh, interesting. Okay, so anyway, long story short, he asked me to join their sales team. Right? He asked me to join their sales team, and that's essentially how I got into sales. And the reason I accepted that is because they offered a £2,500 draw, which is so for US people, it's like $3,300 draw. Which is whatever, it's different from a base, but I was like in my mind, I'm gonna get $3,300 a month. just doing sales. It's still be like super easy for me. So I get into that. I go into his business to do sales full time. Mind you, I didn't know high ticket sales was a thing at this time. I didn't know it was like an industry. I didn't know Jeremy. I didn't know Matt Ryder. I didn't know any of these people. Just like, okay, I'm gonna sell. I know how to sell, whatever. So, and dude, like from the get-go, I was really good. You know, there's these like stories of people getting to sales. Oh shit, bro, I was really good at the beginning. I don't even know why. I don't even know how. But like my second day on the job, I did like $20,000 cash collected. It was just like, and so I remember being like, I just made 2K in commissions of this. And I was like, so I was their number one rep within like 15, 20 days. Okay. So anyway, to speed up the whole process, I go in, I was their number one rep. And in my third month, I did like 15K USD in commissions. So after that, I was going on vacation to Croatia. And I remember speaking with my girlfriend at the time beforehand. And I was like, well, I'm spending all this time doing sales and I'm spending all this time running my business. Like it was summertime and I worked 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. I didn't go to the beach once that summer. Which is crazy living in Cyprus, right? So I was like, I need to figure out which one I'm going to do because I can't do both. Like it's not sustainable. So, and I was like, I'm going to go all in on sales. I'm going to shut down my business. Just going to stop it, right? And then I'm go all in on sales. So what I did is I refunded every client's last month that they paid me for. I shut down my business and then I went all in on sales. And that month I made 20K in commissions my first month that I went all in sales. And I was like, this is the good decision. Now, after that, obviously there was trials and tribulations that we can talk about. But that's how I got into sales, dude. I didn't know high ticket sales. It was like by accident. It wasn't like, oh, this guy is going to teach me how to get into high ticket. I don't know what the fuck that shit was, dude. It's just like, I just know how to sell for my business. I'm just going to get into that. But that's pretty much it. So that's really how I got into it. But I think do you remember that sort of conversation we had, like me telling you that I pretty much got into sales? It was like, how do I explain to this close friend of mine that I'm shutting my business and going all in on sales?
I do remember, but what I want to know is, obviously, the way that you got into sales and how quickly you progressed in the industry, like that is not the standard. Like most people who get into sales are probably not going to see, I guess, that kind of a progression. And like, what do you think of how that whole industry is perceived versus like what it actually is? Because especially now, like the first, like all I hear is just like, oh, get into high ticket closing. It's the best way to make money, blah, blah, blah. What do you think about that then?
No, it's just complete fugazi, dude. Like I always say to people, because right now I'm running my own like sales teams for different companies and I coach people. I always tell people, listen to what I say from a coaching perspective, but never try to compare yourself to me as a salesperson. Because I was an incredibly talented salesperson. Like I just happened to be, right? There's like external circumstances that I couldn't control, IQ, EQ, like the way that I speak, all that stuff. That I just happened to be really good. I didn't never really struggled in sales, right? Obviously, I wasn't good skill set wise at the beginning, but I still had things going for me. So learning high ticket sales or sales in general, dude, it's fabricated as this business model, but it's not what's made out to be. Like I can tell you for a fact, majority of people getting into high ticket sales, I would literally say 90% or maybe even more, will never make 6 figures in a year in high ticket sales. It's never. It's just not going to happen. You may make 10K a month, doesn't classify as a 6 figure year, because you might get fired the next day because the offer is crashing. It's a very volatile industry. So there's these people that are like fucking coaches that are just they're failed salespeople that just like sold for like 6 months and then decided to be coaches. Like, motherfucker, you sold for like 6 months, like, and you're a coach now. It's just like bullshit. So they sold 6 months, they sold like in one industry only, and it's just like, oh, now I'm gonna be a coach. Whatever. Like, you do you. It's like capitalist society, everyone can run their own thing. But what these people are doing is they're now incentivizing that you can get into high ticket sales and do the same shit that I was doing. And that incentivizes a lot of people that are worse than them. And if that person is already bad as it is, that just creates this cycle of shitty sales rep after shitty sales rep, dude. It's like horrible. So this industry is like completely screwed because of that. Like right now I'm interviewing reps all the time and I'm like, you cannot be this bad. Cause like these people just like I'm telling you, it's like you'd be better off just going to a bar and just speaking to women, like, to get better at sales. Cause these people just like don't know how to speak. They just don't know how to communicate. So it's like the industry is bad, dude. There's all these coaches, and I think it's the same with cold email, right? Like people just doing it for a little bit and then being like, I'm gonna coach you how to start a cold email agency. Like, you probably see that a lot.
I think this probably exists in every single industry. But yeah, in the cold email space, it's the same. And it's usually the people who they try to run an agency. They maybe have a couple of successful months. They learn a thing or two. And then they're like, fuck, I just can't scale this agency. But I have reached the point where I can coach people to reach the point that I'm at right now. Which could be that they even just sign their first client through cold email. And they just launch a coaching program teaching people how to sign their first client with cold email. You know, and they get into that biz op space, basically.
Yeah.
So I think it's exactly the same thing. But I would say that even I was there at a certain point.
Yes.
Which it's usually just a form of resistance, you know?
It is. But I'm curious because I know we spoke about it, but I spoke about it briefly. You didn't enjoy that. When you got into it, you realized how actually shit of a model it actually is relative to what you expect it to be.
Dude, I still remember. I was I was running the agency at the time. Things were not going well. All the doubts started coming in. I was like, fuck, you know, I need to find something else to do. I'm either going to pivot into a different industry, or I'm just going to become one of those coaches, you know? I'm just going to become a coach, teaching people how to sign their first client with cold email, teaching people how to make their first 5, 10K a month with cold email. And so what I did is I was like, fuck, okay, I'm going to launch a community. And I remember I created a community on WOP or School or something, whatever. And I started advertising it on Twitter. I was like reaching out to people who were following me on Twitter. I had a couple thousand followers on Twitter at the time. Everyone was following me because they were interested in cold email. That's what I post about. So I started reaching out to people, doing those auto DMs as well.
Yes, I remember.
On Twitter. And I got like a few people in, or like dozen people in into the community. And dude, it was a fucking nightmare.
Why?
It was a fucking nightmare, bro. Because these people would pay me like, I think I charged like $50 to get into the community, like peanuts to get in. And people who were joining expected that one-on-one support. They basically expected one-on-one coaching for something that was like $50.
Yeah.
And dude, I was just basically getting a bunch of people asking for refunds because they paid $50 fucking dollars.
Yep.
And they expected like a $5,000 kind of service. So it was a fucking nightmare.
Yeah,
and you know what? It also didn't feel that good for me, because I was like, I haven't scaled the agency to where I want it to be. And you just feel like kind of a fraud to be selling coaching to people when you haven't actually scaled the agency.
Well, as most coaches
where you want it to be.
That's literally most coaches. Like I'm not going to name any people, but in the high ticket sales space, there might be like 2 or 3 people that are actually very competent, like very quality competent salespeople. Majority of these fuckers, like they're just not good at their job. You know what I mean? Like it is a very dangerous game to play, because what you're doing is you're developing these people that generally want to go into high ticket sales as a career, but they suck. They suck and they go into any offer and they don't do well. So it's like, it's the same with cold email, dude. It's like a bad agency owner is only going to incentivize people who are going to be worse than them.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like the barrier keeps getting lower and lower and lower. It's a very I hate this notion of, as long as you can do the thing, you can help someone below you. No, you fucking can't. Whatever your shit. I'm just like, what? You know what I mean? Like it's like a fat person teaches an obese person how to be fat. It's like, mate, what are we doing? You know what I mean? So, but yeah, dude, that's pretty much it. So it's do you still struggle with that? Do you still have like the shiny object syndrome of like, you know what I mean? Like fuck my agency, I want to do something else.
You know what? I think I've reached the point where these things don't affect me anymore. I
Interesting.
think I've reached the point where I just fucking know that this is what I want to do. And I know that, I mean, like this shit fucking works. So I think I've had my doubts through the past 2 years where I was like, fuck, should I get back into the 9 to 5? Should I just go for that stable paycheck and maybe find something, again, maybe within sales and marketing as opposed to finance, investment
Sure.
banking, what I wanted to get in at the time. But maybe this whole thing is like too risky, too volatile, and maybe I should just go back to that 9 to 5 stuff. And dude, there were times where as I was running the agency, I was still sending applications to companies, and I was like, fuck, you know, if this company gets me,
Maybe then I
maybe I'll consider it, you know, or if the salary is somewhere there, maybe I'll consider it. If that's the responsibility and that's what the job description is, maybe I'll consider it. I went through that and like, fortunately, nobody fucking got me. Nobody fucking accepted me. So it wasn't even an option. But then on top of that, so not only was I applying, but I was also looking at different business models that I can get into. So I was like, oh, you know, maybe I should start YouTube Shorts. Maybe I should get into sales. I even considered high ticket sales because part of what I do is also sales, like selling people into my service. So it's like, oh, maybe.
Do you remember when we had a chat about that? What was the chat? I keep forgetting, but I remember you told me once, and I was like, "Don't do it" or something like that. What was it?
You were basically like, if the reason why you want to stop running the agency, and you want to get into sales is just because, I don't know, you had a shitty month or a client churned or just for the money, or because, you know, you saw this high ticket closer making 20K a month, 50K a month, and you're like, oh, I want to be like that guy. It's not a good enough reason to get into sales. You're just not going to last. So I don't know, what were you thinking when I first came and told you that, I don't know, I'm thinking of quitting the agency to get into sales? And you know what? Not even sales. I think that even for like a bunch of other business ideas that I had, you were kind of the first person that I came to. I was like, dude, I'm thinking of not doing the agency and getting into fucking this or that or this or that.
My thing is always like, if you're someone that I sort of know, but it's like no closer friend of mine, it's just like give you approval. Because that's why you would come to me for, is like approval. But if it's a close friend of mine like you, it's like, I have to be honest on what I think is the best option for you. I don't really know, but I can give you like my take. And my take is always that if you're doing something and the reason you want to get out of it is because of like challenges that are along the way, my opinion is always that challenges are supposed to happen. Like, because every time you face a challenge, you want to, this is like for me, every time I wanted to quit sales was that every time that a challenge comes up, I think of myself, like, how many people quit at this point? So I keep going, because then by the end of it, I'm the only person left because everyone else quit. So that was my opinion for you, is like, think about it like this. If you're running your agency and you want to go through these challenges which are natural, like it's part of any business model you will run, whether it's sales, like YouTube agency, SMMA, whatever it is, it's like the challenges are supposed to happen. So what you end up doing is every time you're going along the way progressing, you're actually going back to step one of another model, whereas you could go to the next level of your own business, right? Which I think, like looking back at it, it's sort of what happened, because you're at a level right now where not a lot of people have their agency scale to like what you're doing, both with clients, revenue, all of that stuff. So
yeah, I think looking back, that was they were like conversations that we needed to have. You know, and I remember what I did. One time it got so bad when I was like, fuck, I literally have so many doubts. I don't know if this is gonna work. And I was like, okay, I'm either gonna quit or I'm just gonna pay $8,000 to get into a coaching program to teach me how to scale the thing. And I basically just committed there that, okay, I basically can't quit for the next 6 months. And that's why I got into coaching. That's why I invested in coaching. So that's what I used to do. So I can like eliminate the option of quitting,
of not quitting. No, that's interesting, dude. So obviously that was sort of the initial trials and tribulations. After that, obviously you graduate uni, you're running your business, and then you make the move to Madrid. Okay, what's caused you to decide on that location?
I don't know if you remember any of the conversations we had about my experience in London.
Yes.
But yeah, dude, like for me, look, I think London is a great place. It just wasn't for me. You know, I know people who are in London, they fucking love it. Like that's perfectly fine. But I was just like, okay, I'm finishing uni now. I obviously have deferred my master at this point. I have 1 year to do whatever I want to do, go wherever I want to go. And I remember I have this friend who's in Madrid. He was already living there. And we just like kept talking about how much I fucking hated London. And every time he used to come from Madrid to London,
He was like,
he was like, dude, like in Madrid, we don't have any of this shit. You know, anything I complained about when it
It's
came
like
to
Madrid
London,
doesn't
yeah,
have
Madrid doesn't have that. So I was like, fuck, dude, like maybe I should consider this. And also, like, if this is the life that I want to live, where I want to have the freedom, I want to be able to move around, do whatever I want to do. I was like, oh, you know, I might just fucking consider going to Madrid. And so I honestly didn't think about it too much. All I knew is that I wanted to leave London. And all I knew is that I wanted to go somewhere like Southern Europe, kind of closer to the
to the
Cypriot culture, like the
culture, yeah.
Mediterranean culture. I figured that it would be a good change.
Mm.
And yeah, dude, like I honestly didn't think about it twice. I just fucking moved to Madrid.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude, haven't looked back since.
That's
Yeah, I mean, like, dude, yeah, I mean, I just honestly didn't think about it too much.
Yeah, no, that was a good move, I think. It's like, it's similar experience where growing up, I was always like, I want to go to the UK, I want to go to the US, because I also had a US passport. I have a US passport. I want to do all those things. And then you go abroad, dude, and it's like, there's no place like home. You know what I mean? So you miss the climate, you miss the culture, all that stuff. So for me, moving back to Cyprus is the same thing. Just like living abroad and being like, yeah, screw this, I want to go back home.
Yeah, so obviously you living in London, were there other options before you landed on Cyprus? Were you like considering maybe even like the more, you know, crazy Miami, Dubai? Did you consider those at all?
I was for a little bit, dude, like even Dubai and stuff like that, right? Because that was also like really, I was a year or two in of like making real money. I was like, oh shit, like I want to go to all these places. But I don't know, dude. Like I had this like big nostalgia about home, dude. It's like, it's just like all the things that's like Cyprus had to offer, like growing up, that I never sort of really appreciated, that I was like, damn, dude, like I'll never find this anywhere else. And like I became very much desensitized to like this hustle culture and like work and all that stuff. And I was like, damn, dude, like I want to go somewhere where like I have, you know, the weather is really good, the food is really good, the culture is really good, like that vibe, the culture, families there. You know, there's not like a diversity in like population, not that it like different people have like different preferences when it comes to that, but it's like, it's home, dude, it's my people. So I think that was sort of what I decided on. And the biggest thing was like, I'll just stay there as a base, and then whenever I want to travel, which is sort of what I'm doing now, I just like book a flight and I just go, you know what I mean? So that's sort of how I decided onto that. So that's pretty much it. That was like life after uni. So for you, life after uni was moving to Madrid. Was there like a big shift in like the general life day-to-day stuff after you moved to Madrid, or was it sort of like stayed the same because at that point you had your business established?
Yeah, I mean, like the biggest change was that I didn't have any uni.
Yes.
So the mental capacity that I basically freed up by not thinking about uni ever was massive. So like for the first time, I was able to just not think about anything else besides the business. And I think that's a big thing, because it allows you to just reach that deeper level of just thinking about anything you want to do. So I remember that in uni, anytime I wanted to do something related to the business, I was like, oh, fuck, but I have an exam in a week. Oh, fuck, but I have this. And it's like, you just do kind of the bare minimum. And you can never just really go all out thinking about the business. So I think the biggest thing was the fact that I was just able to not think about anything else besides the business. But in terms of my day-to-day, dude, it's just like pretty standard, you know, just waking up, just working from home, going to co-work spaces, stuff like that, which I think that for me, going to co-work spaces was kind of like a must, because, you know, working alone from home, I know like you experienced the same thing, because like you were like taking sales calls from home. Yeah. At least for me, I wanted to change my environment.
At some point it gets like, it's just,
it gets a bit monotonous, you know? So I think that was like a big part, finding a bunch of co-work spaces in Madrid, going like meeting people who are also doing actually the same shit as you, is a big thing.
Yeah. I'm a bit jealous when it comes to that, not in a like, oh fuck,
I want your life.
Yes, but it's more so like when I moved back, my first year in Cyprus was like, I was super hustle work with propane, so the business that I sold for at the time. Yeah. I was there for like almost 2 years. And then, right, I moved to 7th level. Right? So like when I moved to 7th level, there wasn't any work-life balance. There's like work.
How was the transition?
Yeah, it was. I had come to a point where I reached my ceiling with propane, right? And nothing but like I love those guys. I still speak to them all the time.
Ceiling in terms of how much you're making or
Income.
growth as a sales rep?
Income and growth as a sales rep. But I'll say this: I was significantly better sales rep than my offer needed at the time. It's sort of like being a really good like athlete playing for a team that is good, but it's like you've exceeded the level of competency for that team, right? So I was a really good sales rep at the time because I've done a lot of coaching. I spent a lot of money on coaching, dude. I was doing one-on-ones with my coach called Sean Ray at the time for like a year. It was just like I became really, really good. But I had reached the ceiling also when it comes to that and income. And I was like, I sort of felt a little bit detached, like burnout. I was like, it's time for me to make the move. So I got a few offers from a few different companies, but Seventh Level really attracted me. Like a lot of stuff about it. It's like learning from Jeremy. I knew Matt Ryder came from there. Like all these legends, they came from Seventh Level. So I was like, oh, this is a powerhouse. It's like this is like the mecca. So I go in, dude. I don't really know what to expect, but I remember. So this was like November. I still had to offboard from Propane out of respect, like make sure the pipeline is right and all that stuff. But I offboarded from there. I go into Seventh Level. And it was a crazy transition because the first week I realized I'm not going to have a life for the next few months. Because I was taking like 6 appointments a day. 6 appointments a day, 3 showed, maybe 1 or 2 closed every day. It was like, that was my life with Propane. And then I get like follow-ups, referrals, all that stuff. And I go into 7-Eleven, I go to the closer's calendar. It was like 12 appointments. Back to back. I was like, what? I've never done this shit. So I was like, there's no work. There's no life here. Yeah. It's just going to be work. And I was like, should I do this? Should I not? Like I had my reservations, but I'll tell you what happened. The first thing that happened was I listened to their calls. I was like, I'm better than all these people. I listened to the call. I was like, I'm better than all these people. And the second thing is one of my first team meetings onboardings, I had like an introduction with my manager at the time. His name is Apollo, like a great guy. But I remember I gave him my story and he was like, yeah, you were a big fish at a small pond. Now you're a small fish at a big pond. That pissed me off a lot, dude. I was like, go fuck yourself.
Who the fuck are you?
Yeah, I was pissed at that. So I remember I was like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to be the number one guy here. So I started there and then pretty much within like 2 months, I became their number one sales rep, right? In terms of the front end. So
what do you think that you did differently though? What is it that allowed you to just so quickly rise to the top in that environment?
Yeah, I think a few different things. I would say the biggest thing, dude, is that when you're in a company like Seventh Level where the business owner is Jeremy and he gives all this advice, what tends to happen is that you take feedback that someone gives you and you have all these sources of input because you have all these like great coaches and sales reps. You get all this feedback and you make changes all the time. But that is not a very wise strategy because if you're already operating at a good level of competency, that means that you have a strategy that works. So every change and decision that you make must be calculated in a way where it's like from your current process, what is the one thing that I can fix that's going to get me the outcomes that I want to? So for me, not only was I really good, I was really skilled on the phones, I was following up, I was making sure I'm doing my outbound, but I never made any changes. So you would listen to like 10 of my calls and they sounded the same. And I used to do that every time, like 10 times a day, 6 days a week, bam, 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 just like all the same. And I never made any changes to my process. I tracked my data very meticulously. So then at the end of the month, I made changes very strategically. So what ended up happening is all the other sales reps were going like this because they were making changes, but I was always going like this, boom, 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 boom. You know what I mean? Because I was very strategic. Yeah. So not only was I really good, but I was very strategic with how I approached sales. So that allowed me to sort of like deviate from the rest. And it was funny because whenever people asked me why I was doing certain stuff, I would tell them that I don't know, but I knew everything that I was doing. But it's because I wanted to sort of like, no one to beat me from my team.
Yeah, keep the secret.
And I would give them advice that wasn't true, just because I knew they were going to apply it. Yes, I was like, but now they're gonna know I did that. But like as a sales rep, I did shit like that. So, but that was pretty much the transition, dude. Like moving from Propane and like not really having a life at Seventh Level for the first few months.
Okay, and then obviously, I remember that there were a bunch of conversations that we had before you left Seventh Level, where you kind of thought about leaving before you actually did, and then you also convinced yourself to stay. I think this happened maybe twice over the course of it. So why did you initially want to leave? What sort of made you want to leave? And then what was the thing that convinced you to stay?
Yeah. A few things, dude. So the reason I wanted to leave was just because I felt like there wasn't any purpose in sales any longer. I had sort of like lost the passion for it because at that point I was already doing it 3 years. 3 years of full-time selling every single day, 5-6 days a week. So I lost the passion for it a little bit. Plus, I wanted a work-life balance. I just didn't have a life. Like literally, I just working all day. So I wanted that. The conversations that I've had with a few people, it made me realize that one, my level of talent in sales, I could probably do more than what I was doing. I was doing about, at that time when I wanted to leave, it was like 25, 30K a month, but they told me that I could do more, right? So I truly believe that I could. So that was one thing, is like, you never want to quit sales without realizing your true potential, right? So that was one thing. The second thing is, you can still be in sales and structure your life in a way where you don't hate it. So that was also another big conversation. So the moment I heard that, first thing that I did, I went and invested into a coach who was better than me, Matt. The second thing is I invested into a sleep performance coach, someone to help me sort my life out in terms of performance, all the stuff. This was around August of, so literally a year ago. From that point, like between August of last year and like sort of February, March, when I sort of like fully made the transition, I found a second win like never before. Like I was like, this is gonna be the thing. Like I'm full all in on sales again. I genuinely think there, in the high ticket space, I've never seen anyone be more effective as a sales rep than I was in those like 6-7 months. Like we're talking, I was working 7 hours a day, doing 30, 40 up to a 50K a month in January. Like just in like absurd efficiency, right? So
Working the same amount of hours?
less hours,
Less hours.
5 days a week. So that was the biggest thing for me. And then I've learned a lot from like coaching that I've done throughout those times. I was getting like incrementally better. So that was the thing, dude. Like, it's just like not wanting to leave sales with the regret of like not going for it. You know what I mean? And like looking back, could I have gone for like 100 a month? I could, but it gets to a point where it's like significant diminishing returns and like understanding that money is not the end all be all. So it's like, that was the line that I drew. And plus, again, the fact that I could manage my life in a way where I wouldn't hate myself. So my sleep performance, his name is Angus, excellent. Like he helped me a lot, dude. He was like great for that. So that helped me out a ton. So that was really like what gave me that second win. I know you've had doubts as well, right? Like of like, even recently you've had like a big shift. So I guess for you, what kept you going? Like wanting to sort of not only look at different business models, but like being unsure about your business. If you lose a bunch of clients, if you have a lot of churn, like what goes through your mind and sort of how do you overcome that?
I think realizing that it's just a part of the process and a part of running your own business was the biggest unlock for me mentally, which is that if you expect that you're going to run a business and no client is ever going to churn, you're never going to doubt the business model. You're never going to doubt your process. There's never going to be any thoughts that you have that go against sort of what you're doing right now, then you're just going to quit, you know? So I think for me, realizing that it's a part of the game and that these obstacles are also just what make it a fun journey. Because at the end of the day, it's through those challenges. Like every time I overcome a challenge, I think I've also just been more strategic with it. So why did this happen? Like, why did this client churn? What did we do wrong? What can we do next time to prevent someone from churning for the exact same reason? Or like, why are we not generating enough leads? It's because of X, Y, Z reason. Okay, what can we do to generate enough leads? So I've also learned from you to just become more strategic and just more obsessed with my data, because I know that you're also such a data-driven person when it comes to sales. So I think that kind of passed on to me as well, where for a long period of time, I was just doing things based on gut feeling. Oh, I feel like I should be sending this many emails. I feel like this is the best way to generate leads. This is how I should, you know, provide my service and do the fulfillment part. So I think when I sat down and just laid out my entire process for everything when it came to my business, like the entire process for marketing, the entire process for sales, the entire process for fulfillment, and I sat down and analyzed everything, that's when I started operating as a proper business, making decisions based on data. And as a result of that, all of these setbacks, I don't take them as, it's not like, oh, fuck, this happens and now I need to go and quit and do something else. It's like, as a part of the process, and what can I do to make sure that never happens again?
How do you manage to stay ambitious right now? Because you're at a point where you are like very competent in your skill set. You've invested in a lot of coaches and you've probably seen that you're better than a lot of them. And plus revenue wise, you're at a good point. So how do you manage the, I'm good and I'm like at a good place with my business and I need to keep striving to get better and improve in those areas?
I think that I've definitely reached a point where I've invested tens of thousands in coaching when it comes to cold email and learn a lot of sales from yourself. So I do feel like I have reached a certain level when it comes to the skill set, where I'm confident in everything that we're doing at the business. That being said, I think that the industry that I'm in, I'm sure your industry as well, is like changing all the time.
Yeah.
So the fact that I'm competent right now doesn't mean that I'll be competent in 6 months' time, in 12 months' time. You need to continue learning. Now, there are some fundamentals that never change, but I'm of the mindset that you should just never get complacent. And that also helps me to stay ambitious as well. So I would say that that's the first thing. And the second thing is that I just don't think that I've achieved nowhere near enough for me to be able to say that I'm not going to be ambitious. You know, like obviously every time you hit a certain milestone, that's an achievement, but it's definitely for me not a reason to not be ambitious. I don't know if you, how do you feel about that?
No,
Have you had times where you were like, oh fuck, like I don't really know what's next kind of thing?
Yeah, I think that's when I decided to leave sales. It's like when I was like, dude, like I genuinely don't know anyone that's like in actively selling. Like I'm at a point where it's like I can't just keep brainwashing myself to feeling like I need to be better and better. It's like there is a point where it's like I go completely burnt out. This was like a few months ago, right? Like 4 or 5 months ago. I just didn't want to sell any longer. So that's where I would say I probably lost a bunch of ambition of like actually selling full time. And yeah, that's when I made the switch to management, dude. So essentially how it happened was I knew that I was going to transition into management. I spoke to Matt. So Matt Ryder, who was coaching me at the time, was still coaching me. Had a conversation. He helped me get in touch with a few people. So I had like about 3 management offers that were really solid from like really big companies. And I went to Jeremy and our president, and I told them I'm leaving, going into management. And then they called me and it was like, we're going to probably part ways with our current VP of sales, and we want you to fill that position. So it's like, I had reservations purely because I didn't agree with a lot of like the decisions that Seventh Level was making from a business perspective, but I knew that I could make easy, quick changes. And I knew that as far as leverage, I'll never get an opportunity like that to manage like a 40 million a year company. So I just took it. All right. So that's how I made the change. I know that doesn't directly answer your question. I don't know if that helps, but that's just like, but that's like me quitting sales is because I couldn't see any step further. Like I just literally got to a point where it's like brick wall. I need to make a transition into something else that's going to motivate me. And it did, dude. Like switching into management, it sort of like gave me again another second win of like, this is something that I truly enjoy and is a lot more sustainable with the way that I want to live my life.
So you went from then being a sales rep, running the sales team at Seventh, and now running your own business.
Yes. Yeah, really fast switch, really fast transition. Yes.
Running your own business. So like, what is that like?
Yeah. So I'll give you the context of like, when I ran Seventh, dude, I was like, I just ran Seventh and I was like, there is no way a 3.5 million a month sales team should be operating like that. There's nothing, dude. Like you have more advanced tech and like automations in them. So it was really weird to me because there was all this shit lacking. But the thing that I sort of like, I was like in my head, I think I told you even when I got the position, I'm not planning to stay long term. Like I'm probably going to leave by the end of the year. The reason why it happened earlier was because, dude, I just like not necessarily Jeremy, but like the other executive leaders of the company, I felt like 50% of them were completely incompetent, like completely, like very bad at their job. And the other 50% may have been competent, but because their value was how can I keep my paycheck and my position, they agreed with everything the other 50% said. So I was like, I can't just go against my morals and what I believe to be true just for the sake of a fucking paycheck, right? So I was like, screw this shit. I had a meeting and it was like me, the other manager, his name is Miles, great guy, by the way. Like Miles, a great guy. And then the president of the company, and he told us some shit like, we're going to change the marketing again after telling us that every single day. And it's like, oh, fuck that shit, I'm leaving. So I just booked a flight to Athens. I just took like a 4-day vacation until I got my final paycheck. And then I just left. So when I left, I was like, I wasn't sure what to do. I was like, should I be a head of sales or a director of sales again for another company? And I spoke with Matt, dude, and Matt said something that really encouraged me, which is like, because he knew that I was competent. He was like, you're going to find it super funny how easy it is going to be to make your business successful straight out the gate. Because I told him what I needed to leave on. I was like, oh, that's it? Like, you can just like fucking make that in a day, right?
Yeah.
So, dude, it was like a super easy transition. Like, it was a super easy transition in the sense of like, so as a sales rep, I'll give you the context. So I was, again, averaging, let's say, about 40K a month in this year. I took a step down to go into director of sales. I was doing about 25, and then I went to 0. And then I went from 0 to pretty much over 50 in the span of like 2 weeks, right? Just like instantly. I got 2 coaching clients and I got 3 management clients almost overnight. And I just climbed back, right? So now it's a lot different because I realized I have to do all this like business shit that I didn't do before, which is like structuring my day a little bit better. How do I, when you're a sales rep, the only thing that matters is like talking to people. But now I hate talking to people because I'm like, I want time to think for myself. You know what I mean? Like I want time to strategize and think for myself. So that was the switch, dude. So that's where I'm pretty much at right now. It was a really fun transition because I structure things in a way where I have a lot more work-life balance, right? With the way that I'm managing my accounts and stuff like that. One thing that I will tell you though is that the moment that I picked up all these clients, the first thing that went to my mind, I should grow this business to the moon. You know what I mean? But then that's where I had to take a step back and like, what is it that we really value? What I've missed out on the past like 3-4 years, which is like having a work-life balance and actually like enjoying my life a little bit.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm just going to cut my business where it is right now, at least for the foreseeable future, and like just sort of run it this way in a way that I enjoy my life rather than like the business consuming me the same as sales did. So that was sort of the transition.
How did you get those initial 3 management clients?
It was all referrals. All referrals, because like people knew I was an excellent sales rep and a really good manager at Seven. So the moment that I left and people knew that I left, just like they just reached out to me, right? And that's
you built the
build a reputation, and that's with anything in life, bro. It's like the same for you. It's like anyone in life who's good at what they do, they're never gonna struggle finding ways to make it happen because you're competent at what you do. You know what I mean? Like if LeBron James left the Lakers like a few weeks, like it's not like no team is gonna look out for LeBron James. Yeah, he's LeBron James. So if you're competent at what you do, I think you're competent at what you do, and you're a good human. Like if you're genuinely a good person that builds relationships with people, not for the sake of a transaction, but actually builds relationship for the sake of sustaining something meaningful, I think you get people who trust you and want to work with you long term, right? Like funny enough, one of the businesses that I'm working with right now, their sort of CEO/VP of sales person is the guy that I took his position over at Seven. But we still maintain a great relationship, right? Because he's a great friend. So it's like, I think when you're a good human and you have these good relationships, people refer you, they want to work with you, all that stuff. So that's how I got my clients. Zero paid marketing, zero anything.
So when do you think then is going to be the right time for you to say, I'm just going to go all out then?
I'm not sure. If that's even something that's going to happen. Yeah, I'm not looking at it right now. So right now I have 3 management clients and 2 sales coaching clients. And my sales coaching clients are not they're businesses. So business, I'm doing coaching for their clients, right? So it's like sales training. It doesn't count as management. I could probably handle up to like 4, maybe 5 management clients if I really like push my schedule to the limit of what I could right now. But that would pretty much be it. But dude, I think until like maybe next year, I'm not going to look into like growing my stuff even further, I'm pretty sure. Or like, so I'm really happy with the businesses that I work with right now. Really good, like really good people. They have everything. I don't have to be a CEO and a tech person and a RevOps and a VP of sales. I can just be like the head of sales, which I enjoy. And it's something that I enjoy doing. So maybe like at some point next year, I would want to like bring on some more people and take on more accounts. But for the time, it's just like I'm good shit with what I'm doing.
So when did you start the management agency?
This was like a month and a half ago.
So how do you think that is the life of a business owner is perceived compared to what it is? Like how have you seen that basically?
Yeah, I think this is something that I've noticed with all the businesses that I work with. Dude, like fucking business owners a lot of times don't do anything and they don't even know what's going on in their business. And that's how businesses get destroyed, right? Like at 7th level, it's a great example. It's like, it's when you keep hiring people that are incompetent. Anyway, so I'm just going out of attention. but yeah, it's a different life because I think right now you have to be a little bit more like, you have to take over and take charge in certain areas, but then you have to be a lot more strategic in other areas. It's not like sales is literally like quick dopamine hits. Sale. Life as a manager, right? Like as a business owner manager, it's not about dopamine. It's the exact opposite. It's like, how do you get fulfilled with the mundane of every day? How do you show up and do the task that you need to do, and understanding that more work isn't going to lead you to more results? It's just like checking off the viable things that I need to be doing for the day. And just being okay with doing that day after day after day. And sometimes you're going to have some losses, sometimes you're going to have some wins, but it's like being consistent with it. Whereas in sales, the reason why a lot of salespeople don't turn out to be great managers is because the way sales works, it's like different reasons for it. But a big reason is that quick dopamine hits. Do this and get a deal. Do this and get a deal. You know, as a business owner, it doesn't work like that. You have to go and fulfill for clients. You have to do the boring shit. So I think that's the biggest change, and the thing that like day to day consumes me right now is like being okay with like not having these like spikes every day of like just a rush of I've closed like 5 deals. So I think that's the biggest one.
Yeah, some days are just going to be slightly chiller, you know, in that sense.
Pretty much. Yeah, so that's pretty much it, dude. So I know for you also, you've had a bit of a big change in your business because you're working with some clients. It just happened that pretty much overnight, a bunch of them for some pretty different reasons churned. And then you had to sort of maybe not restructure, but rethink some things that you were doing with your business. So how was that experience like?
Yeah, dude, those were a crazy 48 hours.
Explain.
Yeah, had a bunch of clients, all of them getting extremely good results. One of them booking like hundreds of meetings for them. They generated like 500K in revenue as a result of working with us. The other company, again, getting really, really good results working with us. So I was like, fuck, like these guys are never going to leave.
You're never
Like,
gonna leave.
as long as we're delivering, they're making a shit ton of money by working with us. So everything is good. And then I get a message from one of them just saying that, because it was the time of the month where they were going to pay for like, we're going to renew the contract. And they were like, you know what, we're not going to renew. And I was like, okay, let's like schedule a call. Let's talk about it. Like, what's up? And so we scheduled a call, and they basically told us that they don't want to continue because of XYZ that was happening in their company.
Got you.
So basically they were having certain struggles. And so as a result, they couldn't justify, because, yeah, and what I've realized is that the marketing budget is one of the first things that they cut
Yes.
when things are not going well. So I was like, fuck, okay, so like I'm going to have to, you know, just find a new client. Okay, fair enough. And then I get another email from another client saying that we're not going to renew. And I was like, why? Like, you're generating hundreds of thousands working with us. Like, why wouldn't you want to renew? And so we have a call again. And again, they tell us that something's going on with our business and we're just not going to continue for XYZ reason. And so those were crazy 48 hours, lost 2 really, really good clients in a span of, I think it was even like 24 hours. And it just made me realize, okay, first of all, bunch of doubts kicking in, of course, like, oh, like, fuck, what the hell is going on? But then it was a big shift at that moment, because I was like, you can never get, first of all, complacent. Even if you're delivering results for clients, that doesn't mean that they're never going to leave.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you could be delivering the best possible service, fulfilling, they're making money, but you can't control what is happening in their business.
Yeah.
And sometimes for stuff that are not in your control, clients are going to churn. So I guess moving forward, what I've learned is that no matter how well you're performing for your clients, no matter how well things are going, the relationship that you've built, it doesn't make a difference. Like, you never know when a client is just going to come for whatever reason and just tell you that we're not going to work together anymore. So from that day onwards, 10x'd our lead gen efforts.
10x
you know,
Grant Cardone.
Yeah, 10x Grant Cardone, yeah. But yeah, dude, it's just like, I think I reached the point where I was kind of happy with the money I was making, you know, living a great life, covering all my costs, things were going well. So I was like, okay, I'm in a good point right now. And I have a certain number of clients where I'm also able to have a good work-life balance, where it felt like I was in a position of strength because I was making money, but at the same time had free time as well. So I was working, but not overwhelmed by work based on the certain number of clients that I had at the time. And so now I've just realized that you can never get complacent. Clients can churn. You always need companies in the pipeline that you're nurturing, and at any point in time you could convert into paying clients, because you need to have the people that you're going to replace, basically.
Okay. And where you are today, what are your current targets, and where should people reach out if they want some help with like getting more leads?
Current targets right now, I would say that over the next 12 months, I would say like, yeah, current targets over the next 12 months are probably just to like scale the agency to like 50 to 100K a month, I would say. I'm not really a fan of having like certain numbers in mind, because I guess I've just learned to set goals based on my inputs. I don't really track the output so much, but I would say that the goal over the next 6 to 12 months is like 50 to 100K a month. And I think that based on where we're at right now,
You're not that far.
yeah, we have all the processes that we need and the formula to hit that point. So I think it's just like a matter of time to continue there. But at the same time, doing that in a way where I'm still living the life that I want to live and not going against my non-negotiables, whether that's how long I'm working, my structure, etc., etc. Because there's some things that I'm not willing to compromise in order to hit those targets. And if you want to reach out, then you can go to sparkleadgo.com. But yeah, dude.
Okay.
What about you?
Yeah, current targets, I would say, it's very similar, dude. So it's like I want to hit 100K a month profit month without any stuff. I think that's sort of like a mini target that I've set for myself, which I think is doable. Because a lot of my clients are rev share as well. So it's like, I think if I...
Big upside.
Yeah, exactly. So big upside with that. So that's my sort of income personal target, like ego goal. And then work-life balance is just like live my life as it is, dude. Like just live my life as it is. 8 hours a day, Monday through Thursday, 6 hours on a Friday, weekend completely off, chill, go to the beach, whatever it is. You know, other areas of my life that I want to sort of prioritize right now when it comes to life besides business. So like friendships, dating, all of that stuff. And that's pretty much it, dude. That's pretty much it. And then I think just like grow the organic stuff as much as possible, not from like expecting something transactional, just like from a value perspective. Because I think, again, like a big thing for me, dude, that I'm thinking right now is that a lot of these clients that I work with, it's very hard to find good sales reps. So it's like the more that I can do, where it's like I can develop good sales reps without necessarily selling coaching, I think that benefits me over the long run, right? And it's like, I literally have people right now in the companies that I work with, like come and do interviews and say, I want to get trained by you. And that's very fulfilling because it's like, the more I can do that, the more I can sort of incentivize good talent. So I think that's my target and where people can reach out to me. I don't even have a fucking website, so I don't know. So I have my Instagram page, so Mike Farce. And then I do, if you want to get some sort of coaching from me, the only coaching that I do is Matt Ryder School Group, which is like $69 a month. 69. So $69 a month only. It's like I don't get paid from it. I do free coaching just because I think Matt is great. So I do a coaching call once a week there. I do 2 coaching calls a week for the Impact team. So if you want some sort of one-on-one coaching mentorship, they're a sales training company. They do good work. I do 2 coaching sessions for them every week. And then I also do 1 coaching session every week for managers inside of Dialer.io. So if someone has a business that's using Dialer as a software, I'm doing management training for them. So that's literally the only coaching that I do where people can get sort of some access or training from me if they want to. Only if they want to get better, not worse.
Nice.
Cool. So that's pretty much it, man. Yeah.
Good stuff, bro.
Cool.